Hi, hello, welcome to Directly to You, episode 226. What's Directly to You? It's our podcast. We are me, AJ, him, Parker. We'll redirect collectively. You can support us in the videos that we make and the podcast that we make and all the stuff that we do by going to youtube.com/watchredirect or twitch.tv/watchredirect. Click the subscribe button. You know, if you didn't do that, click the subscribe button. And if you already did that, you've been here a while, you can give us $4.99 of your money or Jeff Bezos's money if you're on twitch.tv, specifically by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get a free subscription every month. All you got to do is remember to renew it. It's free. It's a good time. And in exchange for that, you get loyalty badge, you get free Twitch keeps from time to time, you get access to supporters only Discord where we record this show. You also, like, you get priority when I play video games. Like doing,
and if we ever stand in line, as you know, just as redirect as a whole,
you just cut. You just like cut in front of,
just right on up to the front.
Yeah, man, for the freaking live tour. Whenever we have
announcing it now for 2027.
Yeah, exactly. When we have enough subscribers to justify doing such a thing, you'll be there on the ground floor. But yeah. Freaking check out our Patreon. There's also stuff there like merch and whatnot. You can get a cool hoodie
and the most recent Patreon podcast episode that I literally just put up 17 seconds ago.
We talked about stuff and things like 2023. Also, hopefully next week, I'm assuming next week, it's going to be next week. By this time next week, I'm saying it here now, the next video, it will be on Patreon. So you could freaking check that out too. It's going to be a Pokemon video, and it's going to be a long one.
Indeed. About 20 minutes and 38 seconds by my calculations.
At least, because there is a strong possibility that when I hear it all like in sequence, I'm going to think of more stuff to be like, oh, I want to add that. And then, you know, so at least 20 minutes and however many seconds you just said. But anyway, we freaking have a video to make right now on the podcast. We're talking about next year in terms of video. Well, actually, no, we're not talking about next year.
Nope.
We're doing that next time. I'm sorry, spoilers. But this time we're talking about this past year. Like we usually do in the like shorter form videos, but we didn't get a chance to do that. So we're doing it here. 2022.
Yeah, you know, we did it. We had a whole year. It feels like it lasted an eternity, and also
no,
like a week.
It did not. I mean, you have a child
at the same time,
and you moved. Well, I moved too, but you moved with a child, so that could mean that your year was slower than mine.
Well, It feels like it also feels like it was only a week, is what I meant to say. Like somehow it's both.
Yes, okay. I agree.
So it lasted forever, but also past just
all time post 2020 is not real. It's still August 2020 in reality. They're hiding it from us with the birds, which are also.
I was going to say birds too.
See, that's how you know it's a simulation. But video games that came out this year. What even came out this year? What is the year? Do we have a breakdown of that? Like a month?
I do. I've got a list.
Well,
so this is all first party games. Yes. Or, you know, first party with a little asterisk a couple of times. We'll just go through in order, and then I've also got the list of Nintendo Directs that happened. So we'll go through and just like talk about our impressions of those. So I'll try to go a little bit, you know, chronological between all those things. So first thing, kicked off with Pokemon Legends Arceus on January 27th.
Good time.
Right there at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Which is very early for, you know, such a big game to come out. And that was great. Like, Nintendo doesn't always do that, but like next year we've got Fire Emblem coming out like right towards the beginning. So like maybe that's the thing that'll keep going. But like for me at least, that turned out to be a great time for that and a great game to have for that time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any, I mean, I guess like for the sake of pacing, it could have been better if they did it like in June-ish. I feel like at least
for their own release schedule. Yes. You mean?
Well, for the release schedule and also the like perception of the video game. Like, people have less time to sit with it and realize that it's what it ultimately is. And then they're like immediately like, okay, new Pokemon game, versus here's this Pokemon game that in comparison is limited, and sit with it for 9 to 10 months. See you, like.
I mean, and I still feel like they could have and should have just if it weren't for the whole everything else around Pokemon, delayed this game and just had it be like June, or even this be a holiday 2022 game, and have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet just like be that much more ready. I mean, well, just be like fully ready the whole next year, and I think that would have been great, because like it coming out so early in the year felt like, I mean, sure, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl sucked, like I wasn't going to be playing those, but also I think it's fine to just like not have to have like just nonstop Pokemon in that same kind of way, where it's like it's okay for it to. I feel, I don't know. I just feel like that kind of thing. So would have been fine with that coming out later. But at the same time, it was fine when it came out, because, again, wasn't playing Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. So might as well be playing that Pokemon game.
Yep. I played both, but I wasn't happy about it. At least Brilliant Diamond. I was happy about Arceus. And I'm happy about it. I don't regret playing it. But I mean, if there's any regrets, is that they ultimately made it. But I like the time that I had with it.
yeah, it was fine. And then next up in chronological order was a Nintendo Direct that came out on February 9th. And I don't remember off the top of my head.
January Nintendo Direct.
2022 Nintendo Direct. I mean, I'm sure, obviously we talked about this Direct as it happened.
Yeah.
But the things that happened in it were, okay, hold on. Wait a minute. Website. Give me a second. Okay. It was doing all sorts of things. So yeah, we got things such as Fire Emblem Hopes. We got Advance Wars Reboot Camp, and then promptly did not get Advance Wars Reboot Camp. Was in here. No Man's Sky was in here. Mario Strikers. Splatoon 3 had Salmon Run show up. Various other things. We already knew about Kirby and the Forgotten Land, so that wasn't new. Portal, that was new. Yeah, overall, I mean, like, I think if I remember right, and Switch Sports was in here. Triangle Strategy we already knew about, but it was in there. And this is, I think, where we learned about, we must have already known about I think Mario Kart DLC we learned about in this one. I remember thinking this was a really good Direct.
Right. But it feels like less so because like Mario Strikers came out and it wasn't great. That was like a big part of it, I think, was Mario Strikers, and also Switch Sports. I think we didn't know about Switch Sports before this, right?
No,
so that was another game.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I think maybe was for the first time announced here. I don't remember exactly. Maybe. It was in here, but I can't remember if we knew about it prior to this or not. Maybe we did. I think we did, but I don't know. But yeah, I remember specifically that this one was like, man, there was a lot of good stuff in there. And that's always fun.
GK said, I got Strikers, played it like twice, and haven't played it since. No one in my family wants to play it. So there was like a good, like, for me, like 2-3 weeks where I was like having a lot of fun with it. It was annoying because like couldn't play with all friends and like that whole thing. But it was like a fun game. They just made it hard to play it, which is unfortunate. But
true.
Yeah. Switch Sports, similar situation. Very fun game, but they hate you being able to play
it. Yep. So next up in the docket of things, Triangle Strategy came out in March.
Did you play it? I didn't play it.
I didn't. I would like to have gotten a chance to, in that I knew that I wouldn't have the time to dedicate to it, just with like it just being kind of long and it's like story heavy kind of stuff. But like I've heard only good things from the people that I
Kevin
trust.
Kenson loves this game, dude.
Yeah,
loves it.
So that, and like, my friend Mitch played it and he really likes it. He did say it was a bit like dialogue heavy at certain bits and stuff, which was what I was worried about. Not because I don't love dialogue for the most part in games regardless, but especially right now, it's just like, even if the dialogue is great, it's just I don't have time for that. So like, get out of here. So that's why games like Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild and stuff are great, because like you can, as long as you were playing the game, you were actually playing the game, and sometimes that's really helpful. But that said, it sounds like it was a really good game. Like, I'm very happy that game came out, especially for tactics RPG fans, which, I mean, there is a lot of those now. So, like, they're kind of swimming in it. But, yeah. I feel like 2 thumbs up for that one, too.
Solid release
in the year.
for fans of the genre.
Indeed. After that was Kirby and the Forgotten Lands.
Yo, W game. Love it. More of that. Do it again, but bigger. I remember playing exactly that game and a couple of weeks on stream. Very good Kirby game. Obviously, still a Kirby game at the end of the day.
That one didn't have any online co-op, right?
No. Nope.
Okay. It was just, which makes sense because it's just like a, kid brother kind of co-op mode anyway. But but still.
If it has co-op, they should make it online too.
But also doesn't, right?
No, and that's why I hate it. That game sucks. When I first saw that they announced it, I was hyped, and I was like, because they just did freaking Mario. They just did that with online co-op, and I'm like, yo, hype. And then when they said it doesn't have online multiplayer, I was like, that's stupid. And why even make this game?
Yeah. Yep. True. GK Dub said, great game, couch co-op of Chef's Kids for Kids. Yeah, for sure. That's like, it's such a fine line with some of those things. Like, I remember playing Mario Odyssey, and Ashley played as Cappy, and I played as Cappy, and I was like, not fun, really. It's like, it feels more like a really little kid that's like, yeah, you can just float around a little bit, like, see,
it's like when I
Which,
used to give
my Ashley had a friend over today.
Go for it. I was just going to say, it's just like when I used to give my little brother the controller that wasn't plugged in and be like, that one's totally you, it's you on that, you're the guy that I'm racing and losing to right now.
We do the same thing for Ezra sometimes, and she knows. Like, she's like, no, like, I can tell yours is doing. I mean, she doesn't say because she's 19 months old, but like, you can tell that she knows. So today, Ashley's friend was over, and she was like, "Hey, can we play Super Mario 3D World?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." So we played Super Mario 3D World, and the 3 of us were playing. And I just hooked up Ezra's controller and gave her just the left Joy-Con so that she could move around, but couldn't press the home button because she very much knows. She doesn't know what it does, but she knows the home button does something. And so we'll be playing a game and just like back and forth. But like, she was kind of running around and stuff and like sort of knew what she was doing, and that was really cute, just watching her like being excited about controlling a character on screen. So yeah, C's nice. But yeah, Kirby's Forgotten Lands, I think, they did a really good job of like, Bandana Waddle Dee has a cool move set, and it's different from Kirby's in a fun way. But
so like leveling up abilities is really cool. It has a lot of those like moments that I talk about or that we've talked about with like Luigi's Mansion, where it's like, it's not a lot of the game's not particularly hard, but there's a lot of like, oh, that was neat. That was a cool idea.
Yeah.
That was interesting design. There's that in spades and Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
And like, honestly, I think, I would still love for them to have like a fully 3D, move your camera around kind of Kirby game and stuff like that. But the fact that they didn't meant that they could do some things, like some pretty cinematic bits in a really cool way, where like you walk into a certain level and like the camera is panned a specific way to be able to have this big sight behind it,
and it doesn't feel like garbage to control.
Like that was because like, especially for kids and it being accessibility and stuff like that. I mean, kids are playing Minecraft and blah 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 too, also has camera control, so it's like, at this point, you can have camera controls and it's fine. But I think, yeah, within this, it's still like it allowed, I think they took that limitation and kind of ran with it in a way that I don't know that I would have expected for HAL Laboratories. So good on them, you know?
Yep. They did a good job.
I wonder if they had any help from any other teams or if it was just them.
I mean, at the very least, I'd imagine that like Nintendo, SPD, like that group.
Yeah.
They probably worked on this because they work on most like big Nintendo published games, whether it's Nintendo first party or not. So at least I would assume they had some hand in it, but I would be surprised if the bulk of it wasn't primarily handled by HAL.
Yeah. Also, real quick, did we check to make sure that like my microphone and stuff like that Discord is muted and I'm just going through Streamlabs? I just thought of that.
Yep. I completely muted the Streamlabs recording thing, so we're good.
Nice. Awesome. Look at that. So moving on. Next thing up was Nintendo Switch Sports, which, yeah, like, okay, so I didn't actually end up getting it, partly because I just was waiting to see what everybody else said. That's why I didn't get it.
The game, it's, I mean, to be fair, full disclosure, have not played golf at all. So I don't know if that's like a huge win and it like redeems the game. I have no idea. Also never tried soccer with the leg strap. So I don't know. Again, maybe that makes it just takes it up to the next level. It makes the game the best game ever. But like, there's just a lot of things about the game that is like, oh my god, you could have made this something so cool, but you dropped the ball. Like the fact that like you can't do freaking 4-player tennis, and the fact that there's only like there's literally 2 games that you could play with more than 2 people. That's dumb. Very sad. Well, actually no, more than 4 people, because you can play volleyball with 4 people. But on a similar token, why you got freaking 4 versions of volleyball basically?
Yeah.
Like we got tennis, we got badminton, we got volleyball, and freaking what's the other one? There's another one. It might be 3. Either way, it's too many versions of the same game. That's stupid. And like they like kind of changed it up a little bit with like making the movement in each one like restricted, or like doubling down on like certain aspects of it in terms of like mechanically, where it's like in volleyball we're gonna make it like quick time of any to like serve the ball back and forth and stuff like that. All that like those decisions dumb. Not enough to separate the games enough to make them feel like they matter and are worth playing. Like it seems more like everybody that was playing this game during this time had a favorite of those 3 and just stuck to that favorite. It wasn't like, all right, we had a great time playing volleyball, now let's play badminton. You know, it's like either you like badminton and you don't like the other 2 as much, or you know, vice versa. Where it was like me, I really liked volleyball because it had like a fighting gamey, like I'm parrying this sort of feel to it. Whereas the other ones just felt more like swinging the racket in a specific way, and that would guarantee you the point or whatever. And that's not as interesting. That said, even volleyball, it's not interesting enough to justify its existence in the context of those other 2 sports. If they just would have did the games that were even like in exchange for the one that I like soccer, that's not in the original Wii Sports, but if they just would have did evolved versions of everything in Wii Sports, it would have been a better product, because we already know that the simplistic, like very surface level Wii Sports games were fun on Wii, where the control was literally just wagging the controller back and forth. Like obviously like people like the people that let themselves have fun with the game were not abusing that. It was literally just waggle controls, and it doesn't really matter that much how you move the controller. People are still like getting into it and like getting in boxing stances and like, you know, serving in tennis and stuff like that. But like now it like the motion controls, even more than it was already the case with Wii Sports Resort, can support that and like actually require you to put that effort in, you know. And they could have made the games more advanced in different ways and added cool like design solutions for different aspects of the game and the way that they flirted with in this game and the different version of the game that they did. And it also is like, I don't know what's going on with them doing like if they're going to do DLC or whatever, because there was like the data mines and stuff like what the heck, what's happening? Did we like shoot ourselves in the foot by like being tired of this game that they're like, oh, I don't care, I guess we're not going to patch it or give DLC because people just stop playing it. Like, ugh.
Yeah, it's weird. I think like, especially after Wii Sports Resort, which is like, I didn't play in retrospect, but from what it seems like, was a more fleshed out experience, you know, overall. It seems like after that, they kind of need to up the ante even more. And I know I'm a part of the problem, but like even just a hub world, those kinds of things, like, you know, it's things.
For the record, the game still would have been bad if they just put
sure. But like, there's something about like the feeling of everything feeling like a complete game and package and something that that kind of thing is like, you know, obviously takes some work, takes some programming, but goes a really long way, you know. And so like that's it just feels like it's, you know, a pretty polished version of the bare bones sort of experience, and also it just isn't as novel anymore. So I feel like they would have to up the ante even more, because back when Wii Sports came out, like it was super novel, so they could have done probably less than they did and it still be as momentous, you know. But at this point, that's not the case anymore. And like people will be like, oh, I remember that. Yeah, that's fun. And probably play a little bit and then, you know, not care nearly as much because they played dozens of hours of Wii Sports back in the day. Cool.
Hey, friggin' technical difficulties. I couldn't hear Parker, but now I can hear Parker. So we're just going to pick it up from there, everybody. Hey, subscribe to the Patreon. You can hear it in real time.
But yeah, Nintendo Switch Sports, that happens. A little disappointing, but you know, hopefully we'll see what goes in the future. After that, there was an indie world, but I don't know, not a whole lot to say. It was an indie world, cool. And then moving along, we're in June of the year, but not quite halfway through the releases. We got Mario Strikers Battle League. Similar situation.
Yep. Really similar.
Another one I just didn't pick up.
Did you try it at all? I remember you talking about
I played the test demo thingy.
Oh, you didn't even... I thought you tried it off my account.
Well, I don't think so.
But yeah, no, it's fun. It's disappointing that it wasn't better supported in the sense that they made it more playable and gave you more things to do and gave you more reason to play it, because the core game is fun. So unfortunate.
It's so weird too, because like that's the kind of thing. Maybe it just isn't possible. You know, maybe technically speaking,
it has to be.
It's just
there's whatever, no way it's not.
Yeah. So like, but yeah, assuming that it isn't, like you said, it's the kind of thing where like all of the proponents of this game, of social media people or whatever, that's the same thing that they're saying is like, game's good, it's just really hard to play it the way that we want to be able to play it. And so like people, like Nintendo is actively losing sales. You know, millions of people that are on the fence about any, you know, number of games at a time and are wondering about this one. And then hear people be like, yeah, it's, you know, mechanically fun, but like, you're not going to be able to play with your friends, blah, 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 you know, this way or that or the other, are just not going to play the game. And like, if they just made, I mean, I'm saying just like, again, maybe it's harder than I think. And all that stuff.
Definitely, I definitely don't want to discount like how hard it would be. Yeah. But it just seems less like something that is like too hard for them to do. like period, full stop, and more like too hard for them to want to invest in, like they think, okay, well, we got enough out of this, we have our roadmap, we rather just execute on the roadmap that we have and whatever, and I mean, it could be too soon to say. Who knows? Maybe we get a freaking Super Mario Party situation, and they patch it 2 years later. Hopefully that would be sick. I will go back. I think the game is that fun. But in the current state, I have no reason to play it.
Yep. Which sucks. Too bad. But hopefully for people that play it like with their family and friends coming over and stuff like that, there's all sorts of people that I mean, like for me, for example, the Kirby game coming out next year that we just talked about, for you, it's a huge detriment that it doesn't have online co-op. Like that, is make or break it pretty much. Whereas for me, like, I'm not going to be playing it online regardless. If I'm going to be playing a co-op with anybody, it's with Ashley. Maybe one day with Ezra, maybe with somebody else that comes over. Ashley's sister comes over, we play together, something like that.
Yep.
So, I'm sure there's some people that have more interest in Mario Strikers on it, therefore, didn't have that specific issue. But I do wonder what's the legs of that game, even for them, if you're playing local co-op or, that kind of a thing. Yeah, just curious. But
yeah,
there it was. There was that release. And then continuing on, also in June, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. I got this game for my birthday and haven't gotten to play very much of it yet, but from the sounds of it, I mean, I really liked Age of Calamity. That was my first Warriors game really ever, so I'm not burnt out on the formula or anything. And I heard this one's just, as good, if not better, in terms of like taking a kind of stale formula and tailoring it to a game franchise, in terms of like mechanics and stuff outside of battles and all that. So that's pretty fun. I think that's one of the reasons I was still interested in it and heard good things about it, but haven't played it very much yet. So TBD, personally.
Well, it's well documented. I don't like this series. I think that I'd rather watch paint dry than to play these video games. So there's that.
Yep. It is funny because there's definitely parts of the combat. Like I remember I played a demo of Fire Emblem Warriors, the first one, at like a Walmart or Target or something way, like 2017, early days. And I remember like I don't like the like feathers that enemies are, just or ragdolls or whatever. That like they barely have any physics and it feels like nothing to hit them more often than not. But I think in like the more I played, at least Age of Calamity, it was like those just that, I don't know, kind of fell out into the distance, or that's a weird phrase, but like I just kind of ignored that and like focused more on the bigger picture stuff, and those were like small obstacles in the way, but not like a main thing. So it just kind of shifting focus away from like this is the meat of the game, and it's more like this is just basically I'm walking over to a place but slashing some swords in the meantime, and then like the actual boss that's over there, like that's the main thing, and like should that sort of stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
It just doesn't like even if I tried to do that. Stripping all that away is like, then it's just, which it makes sense why you like it. But stripping all that away is then it's just like an RPG with a bunch of like generic RPG like fetch questy stuff, and I'll pass.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I think the other thing that stressed me out initially, when I was thinking about it initially, when I was like, should I get Fire Emblem Warriors back in 2017, was the like defend your base over here and like the strategic side, and feeling like you're on a clock or whatever, and that it's stressful. And then somehow I think just the way like it makes it look more stressful than it actually ends up being more often than not.
Yeah, like they don't take the base.
It says you're in danger, but you're not really. Yeah, exactly. Like
it's like when a Switch Pro controller says that it's going to die. It's like, oh, okay, well, I have 3 hours left at least.
Exactly. So it's just like, it is nerve-wracking until you kind of get accustomed to it, and then it's fine.
Yeah, once you get to the point where it's like, things... I know my car.
Yeah, exactly. So, yep. So there was that. And then let's see, there was another Direct. This was the Nintendo Direct Mini partnership. I don't know if we keep talking about the Directs, because I don't feel like we're going to have interesting things to say compared to just when we talked about them when they happened. But there was a Direct. People were like, is Nintendo going to have an E3 showing even though there's no E3? Yes, no, maybe not. And then they had a partner Direct right at the end of the month. So what a silly time that was.
Yeah. That was another Direct, like every other Direct, where it's like, it's definitely this day. And then it was very not that day. Matter of fact, a few times over that happened.
Yeah. Where it was like people were like, it's the 15th, because that's the day that Nintendo typically
usually does E3. And then they didn't do that.
And then people were like, it's the 29th for sure. And then it was the 28th.
Yeah.
Which, like, I mean, that's closer for what it's worth, but still not. If you're saying a number, it's a different number.
Yeah. And it's not even like they said it's the 29th on like the 16th. They said it's the 29th on like the 20th. Like, yeah, sure. Take a shot in the dark. Like, I could have said a number and I might have been right, So it's like, I don't know. The insider info on the date of a Direct is so like, ugh, I'm over
it. Next up was Live Alive. Also got for my birthday. Played the demo. Haven't played more of it.
I still didn't even.
Everybody seems really happy.
I was going to do it.
Play the demo, you mean?
Yeah. I forget why I didn't. Yeah. But I was going to play the demo before we had Kevin Kenson on. But something happened or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't end up playing it.
Maybe you decided to not.
I might have decided to not.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited to give it a go whenever the time comes, and especially like in contrast to Triangle Strategy, where like those are similar in some ways. Like obviously one's more standard RPG and the other strategy RPG and stuff. Like everything that I've heard is that Live Alive is really easy pick up and play as opposed to Triangle Strategy, but like so it's like a bite-sized version of that, but different genre.
Makes sense.
So yeah. That's I feel like that was a win. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, also a win. Everybody seemed pretty happy about that. There was, I feel like, a couple of people that were like frame rates and something along those lines, but generally people seemed to be pretty happy about how it looked and story type stuff, I think, and like most people's lists, I think. I'm curious how it shakes out in the long run, like if it's a question of people being biased in the moment.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, like recency bias.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Recency bias, or the flip side of that. But like, for the most part, I think I saw it as like, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 first place, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 second place, and then Torna, and then Chronicles 2 something.
Yep. I saw a decent amount of people saying it was Game of the Year material. So like, yeah, that's. Like,
I mean, and it was nominated for it. So yeah,
true.
Checks out.
Nice.
After that was a pretty surprising release of Kirby Dream Buffet.
I didn't play this at all. I know you did.
I played it a little bit, yeah, and just a fun little outing from Kirby, and like not all of those appealed to me, but this was one. Ashley and I played it a little bit. It wasn't like super well balanced, and I feel like they could have tweaked a couple things a little bit and probably made it some better from that, but for what it was, I feel like it was a fun little time. I bet if I mentioned to Ashley, hey, you want to play that little Kirby Mario Party kind of game again, she'd be like, oh yeah, totally. I think the only weird thing is that there isn't 4-player. Like,
yeah, that is weird.
It's 2 players max, and that's just odd to me. Even if it's not online, but it is online.
I was going to say, I thought it was.
Oh, I think it's 4-player online maybe, and 2-player.
That's weird and stupid.
I think that's right. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's bizarre.
But I mean, it's like a $20 game or whatever. So
yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
There's that. One that you have a lot more to say on than I do. Splatoon 3 came out in September.
Splatoon, it's a W game. But unfortunate timing for its sake. But I'm gonna be back in January when I start playing all the other games that I stopped playing entirely. It's, I talked about it before when we talked about the Game of the Year stuff, and also when the game came out, and a little bit after that. It is just Splatoon 2 but better, which was Splatoon 1 but better, and that's all I really need out of a game like that in a franchise that's so new and so big. They're not at the point where they need to start thinking about how to reinvent the wheel, because they still haven't necessarily perfected the wheel that they're presenting to us. They just gave us a good idea, and they're like, oh, here's this, and they had pretty good execution, and it's like, okay, but like, what if you make this better and this better and this better? And then they did that, and then we said, okay, this is even better. What if we make this better, this better, and this better? And then they did some of that, and here we are. Obviously, we're still in the early days of this game where it's still like actively getting patches and updates and stuff like that. So can't really say how much of those things from Splatoon 2, when coming out of that game, it's like, man, I really wish this game did this better or this better or this better. How many of those things it ends up doing? Because like even stuff like the Splatfests are still actively being like tweaked and changed in ways that we didn't know they were going to do. Like I know they just recently announced that they're going to start doing the tricolor turf war. I mean the tricolor Splatfest turf war situation anytime. Like it's not just at the halftime mark or whatever. And then from there it's going to add another metric to what team wins the Splatfest, which is neat. And I'm looking for, and even outside of that, they did the big run, which I wasn't able, I didn't take part in because of Pokemon, which we'll get to. But that's another new addition to the game that I think is really interesting. And who's to say what else they add? Because again, they're adding more content, could be more modes.
Yeah.
We know we're getting DLC in some regard. So for what we got right now, it is a very solid experience that I could have kept playing if it weren't for an even more, not necessarily solid experience, but an experience that I enjoy more personally. In some regards, I enjoy the franchise more.
Yeah.
Splatoon 3, really good game. You should play it.
Yeah. And there's that. And next up, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
Didn't play it. Didn't even consider playing it.
I've seen a lot of good things about it. I'm just gonna wait for a sale. At some point, it's gonna
it'll be $10
pretty deep.
Like 3 months from now.
I feel like it'll probably take longer to go on deep sale than the first game did, probably. But
why?
It'll happen. Only just because I think now it's got a little extra what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
clout.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, clout, basically, behind it, that the first one didn't. Where the first one was like, everyone's like, really? Mario plus Rabbids? And then, it sold.
I'm still like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like it might take a little bit longer to go on quite as much sale. But even so, once it gets down to like $20, $30 or something like that, I'll probably pick it up and play it at that point. Also, I've got other games to play right now. So, like, why not buy the games that are on sale for like $2 instead and build up a new backlog for the new year. But yeah, that game, everybody seemed pretty happy with it that played it. So like, cool. Ubisoft sucks, but get it secondhand, I guess. Yeah. I wish some of these companies didn't suck, That sure would be nice.
Yeah. It's video games at the end of the day. It's always shocking to me the amount of terrible people that work on and cover the video games. But it's it's people working in
I guess it's a huge industry.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're gonna, once you get a certain number of people, it's just like
it's bound to happen
at that point.
Percentages, there's going to be terrible people,
Yeah, and especially once there's a certain amount of power in anywhere, then like people will abuse that power, and like it's just gonna happen. Like,
yep.
Not to be too defeatist, but
yep.
it's happened enough. Like,
hopefully,
there we are.
Hopefully, we'll fix it. One terrible person at a time.
Yeah, there you go. Speaking of controversy, Bayonetta 3.
Oh, yep.
Had some. And this one came out, like, I think people were generally pretty happy about it, but also doesn't seem to have lived up to Bayonetta 2 from what I'm seeing from a lot of people.
I'm hearing a lot of like iffy things on like how the game ended and stuff like that. I hear that the game is good. But the end left people like, what?
From what I hear too, I mean, like, blah 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 blah, multiverse, blah 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 blah, and it's kind of one of those like, there's a lot of multiverse. You know, there's probably just multiverse burnout, basically. So I can imagine that would be kind of it. I'm not saying that's the end. I don't think that's.
I know some things that I'm not going to say because
I think I looked up some stuff too. Or
I didn't even look it up. I just saw it. And didn't care because I didn't plan playing anytime soon, anyways. So
yeah, there's that. But yeah, Bayonetta 3. Overall, you know, it won one of the Games of the Year awards. So obviously it was doing something right.
Yeah. Plus, it got another game for next year.
It did. Yeah, which is crazy. And then lastly, for the first party releases at least, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Yo, it's a good game. I like it a lot. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in the games we're playing. But it's a good game.
Nice.
You know, obviously controversy. Every time a Pokemon game comes out, controversy, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you have a pretty fresh take on my thoughts on that.
I do.
Because it's a big part of my next video. Which isn't like, I don't know how you would describe it, but I wouldn't say it's really a Pokemon Scarlet video, but it's kind of a Pokemon Scarlet video.
I can see that.
Yeah, but good game. Like it a lot.
Yeah, I'll talk about it in games I'm playing section 2. But that's the list of the games, and then just overall. So now
we're ranking. Is that what we're going to do?
Just, I mean, sure. If we want to give it a score, then cool. But just overall, like, what are our thoughts on 2022 for the Switch, and
2022 for me? It was a pretty good year. It wasn't my favorite year, but it was a good year in the way that I think 2018 was a good year. Where like the whole of it wasn't like freaking 2017 or 2019 or to a lesser extent like 2021. But there was a few games that I liked more than a lot of the games that came out throughout the entirety of the Switch's life cycle. Like my favorite Splatoon game and now my favorite Pokemon game both came out this year. And I think that means a lot. But as far as like all the other stuff that came out, even the stuff that like I wanted to like and like I bought and like enjoyed on some level, were disappointing in a few ways. So it like can't be as good as like the potential of the year had with like if you're just looking at logos on the screen. Because the games that came out really cool, but really the only like huge standouts that come to mind for me are Splatoon, Pokemon, Arceus, Scarlet, Violet, and Kirby. I mean, and did I say Kirby? Kirby and Splatoon, and yeah, those are the ones.
Yeah, no, I mean, I generally agree. Kind of. On the whole, I feel like a good year, and I feel like especially
also it is like, worth noting. I do want to point out because we do try to make it a point to like in our like judgment for things like this. Like even though I don't personally care about triangle strategy and Xenoblade and Mario plus Rabbids and stuff like that, I do count them towards like a good year because I know that the people that they're aimed at like those games a lot. So they do count, and even Bayonetta 3, they do count in that regard. But just for me personally, it's like,
no, I mean, I feel like the year had a really strong like first quarter, a surprisingly weak second quarter, just in terms of like the games that were there: Nintendo Switch Sports, Mario Strikers, and that was it. And Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, like that. I mean, that's fine. But yeah, for like those games, it feels like they could have paced stuff out just a little bit differently to where, even triangle strategy went in there instead, or I don't know. But it definitely felt like it dipped a bit and then came back up closer, for like Live Alives, Blade Chronicles 3, Splatoon, Mario plus Rabbids, and Bayonetta and Pokemon. But I feel like especially for like, whereas some years are just good for everybody across the board, again, I think like that's probably the thing that 2017 has going for it, is just the fact that like Breath of the Wild is a pretty ubiquitous game. Mario Odyssey is a pretty ubiquitous game where like just about anybody can like and enjoy those games no matter what, even if you're like mostly an RPG person or mostly a platformer, whatever, like, and this year was like pretty RPG heavy. So for an RPG fan, like it's a fantastic year. But for somebody who doesn't care at all about those, for them personally, it wouldn't be as good of a year for, some of the games. Obviously, Splatoon still up their alley, Kirby, stuff like that.
I think that,
but I think it evens out to being like, good year.
I don't think that the genres of Mario and Zelda are any more like approachable. It's just that Mario and Zelda are ubiquitous franchises now because of Breath of the Wild, for what it's worth. But like a Pokemon game coming out is just as big of a deal as a Mario game coming out. So that's why it's like, to me, when I hear people say that like 2017 is like objectively the best year, it's weird to me because like we got Pokemon games in 2019 and this year. And I think that like objectively, like if we look at the history of both of these franchises, a Pokemon game coming out is a bigger deal than a Zelda game coming out, even though I like Breath of the Wild a lot, just like you like Breath of the Wild a lot.
I guess I would just say that like in terms of like ubiquity or whatever, that whole thing, for Pokemon games, there's more people that I can imagine, like, because there's so many people that the only game that they play is Pokemon,
right?
To where that has like, that's a lot of its sales is like people, it's their first Pokemon or the only game they play is Pokemon or whatever. Whereas Mario and Zelda tend to have, I think, more just like basically anybody. If you were like, hey, you want to play Mario game, they'd be like, yeah,
Zelda's
for sure. But there's
fan base, Breath of the Wild for sure.
Yes,
I'll give you that for Breath of the Wild. But for Zelda in general, it's a Pokemon situation. Agreed. There's just less people. Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, there's plenty of people that if I asked them to play Skyward Sword or even like Link's Awakening or whatever, they'd be like, no, I'm good. But Breath of the Wild is like an event.
Yes.
Which, to be fair, I think Scarlet is kind of that too, where it's like it's the first open world Pokemon game, so a lot of people are picking it up because of that. And a lot of people picked up Sword and Shield for a similar reason. Where it's like it's the first mainline major console Pokemon game, and a lot of people picked that up. And I mean, scales kind of back that up, but yeah, like I think that they're similar. It's just
for sure.
It just depends on like what you gravitate towards more.
Yep.
IMO.
But yeah, all that said, I think year wise, I think it was real good.
I would
there's
give
just
it
a lot of stuff in there.
I'd give it a 75.
I'd give it like a alphabet soup out of chicken noodle soup.
Yeah.
So, pretty good. No, yeah, I mean, get like 8 out of 10 easily. Yeah, probably 8 out of 10, maybe 8.5. Especially like Kirby helps too because just a good old platformer.
Yep.
So there you go. All right, so now to finish up this conversation, I asked you guys what you thought about the year. So we're just going to read through some of your responses and then chat about those a little bit and then move on with the next bits. Rise Gang said, I'd give 2022 a 9 out of 10 for gaming. For me personally, it's had a few games that I feel will be talked about for years to come as new games come out. Mainly Elden Ring, which I feel is one of the best games ever made with its art design, open world that I feel like never ends, and RPG-like character building that I personally think is so much fun that I could replay this game for years on and still enjoy, as well as its combat, which I super love, and its lore because I'm a lore nerd. And then Xenoblade Chronicles Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out this year, which is one of, if not my favorite stories in any video game, and the enhancement of the Xenoblade universe / combining of previous games, looking at the future, and many other games such as Splatoon 3 that I'm sure we will keep playing for years to come as a group. Overall, one of my favorite years of gaming, only really missing a good platformer in my opinion. Kirby. In my opinion, nothing like a new Mario game.
Because Rise is like the self-proclaimed Kirby fan, like the Kirby fan.
I do feel like somehow, even though Kirby was great and stuff, like I do feel like it has short mind share for some reason. Like I think I've had to remind myself a lot that it came out
Kirby
this year,
existed.
even though it was like. Yeah, even though it was like one of my, top games of the year. So that's an interesting thing for sure. But nevertheless, yeah. So only really missing good platform in my opinion. Nothing like a new Mario game or Celeste type deal that is short, but it's both challenging and wondrous. Why I can't give it a 10 out of 10. I don't have a question that I feel like is good enough for the podcast, so I'll just give this.
Fair enough.
Nice. Yeah.
Thanks, Rise.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah. I'll play Elden Ring one day. Honestly, I mean, I can't imagine it won't get a port to whatever like the next gen Switch kind of thing happens. Just because like why not do it at that point,
Yeah.
So I'll play it then. If that happens. Or I'll just keep waiting forever and we'll see. All right. Let's said overall, it's been a good year for gaming with titles such as Pokemon Legends Arceus, Kirby Forgotten Land, and Splatoon 3 standing out for me. I've been saving Pokemon Scarlet for Christmas. Otherwise, I'm sure that would make the cut. So I'll probably call it 3.5 or 4 out of 5. And I expect Scarlet will bump that up for me. The start of the year was strong with some fresh takes on Pokemon and Kirby. Then it paged for me until until Splatoon 3, which while I've loved it, packed a little something or lacked a little something to really make it feel special compared to Splatoon 2, as much as I love the extra challenge and rewards in Salmon Run in particular. Yeah. And then I'll save the question part for the Q&A bit. Yeah, makes sense. Good thoughts. Mega Man wrote a novel and said, I would rate this year's gaming a solid 8 out of 10. Start off strong with Pokemon Legends Arceus, which provided great enjoyment and shiny hunting. Then Kirby. I didn't play Kirby, but it would be a game I'd pick up in the future. Looked like fun and something I'd play with my little one in the future. Middle of the year dragged for me, even though I got to play a few new games with Switch Sports, Mario Strikers, and Elden Ring. Switch Sports was fun, and so was Strikers, but they weren't the games I personally was hoping they'd be in terms of playability, especially Strikers and being able to play with friends. I was lucky enough to play Elden Ring from Sardi. Thank you again so much, buddy. And it was fun, frustrating, annoying at times. Felt so lost about where to go. For people who don't have a lot of time to game, this was hard to just pick up and play, as there felt like there was never a point to go. Yeah. Oh, yes, sure. I know what you mean. End of the year for gaming has been fun. I enjoyed playing FIFA when that came out, as I do every year, but AJ told me to play Splatoon as I would enjoy it, and surprise, surprise, I enjoyed it. So much fun with friends online, and the story was great fun with cool puzzles. This was also my first game where I used gyro controls, and it took a while to get used to, and don't think I will in most other games, but it gave a completely new experience than a normal shooter game. Last but not least, Scarlet and Violet, truly one of the best Pokemon games so far, even with as many performance issues and bugs, which I never experienced in my many, many hours of gameplay. This generation, I'm giving competitive Pokemon a good go and made it to Master Ball rank yesterday. Good job. With the team I made myself, rather than the meta, which I am proud of. 2022 was a good year for gaming, with loads of games that did come out. That did come out for everyone. 2023 will be a good year too, with Zelda, Fire Emblem, I probably won't pick up. Advance Wars is apparently coming out in 2023 along with Sports Story, and those are just Nintendo games. Lastly, thank you, AJ and Parker, for all you do, having such a great community and providing us with great content. I hope you both have happy holidays, and I'm sure we can all game together soon.
Thank you for being a part of the community.
That was nice. Yeah. And
I
then
had
the
a lot of
last
fun
one.
playing a lot of those things. Pokemon especially. Pokemon was a freaking event, dude.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I'm glad you got to play with a lot of people. That's nice. I need to, honestly, if I can get Ashley to play some more, then I'll probably play a lot more, just because that's what ended up happening with Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
Was
And it's
the time
this
that I
game
found to
is
play it was when
literally
she did.
suited to that. This game is made for that.
Yep. So there you go. Yeah, and last but not least, GK Dope Esquire or Esk said, I know I can say either, but I always feel like I should be saying either. This year was a great year for wanting to play games but not having the time to. Oh man, yes. I played Little Arceus, Kirby, and NBA 2K23, and a lot of games with the family. Both Mario Parties, Cake Bash, Mario Kart, Overcooked. My third kid was born this year, and I work from home, so this year was a lot of trying to fit work in while taking care of the kids and driving them to their various activities. But I did have a great time playing games with family and listening to you talk about new games. My oldest really wants to play the new Pokemon, so I'll get Scarlet and she'll get Violet in January. She also really wants to get into Splatoon, so we'll have to figure out that at some point. So for bringing the family together, I'd call this an 8 out of 10. For games I want to play, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. For actually getting to enjoy the games, I'd give this year a 5 out of 10. We'll see how 2023 goes.
I hope you have better luck in that regard.
I feel very similarly to all of that. We're like, there's a lot of games this year that I almost made a list on Twitter the other day and just didn't bother. But of games that came out this year specifically that I would have wanted to play and just didn't get a chance to, or whatever. And but yeah. At least, it's good backlog fodder to eventually maybe one day play when they go on sale or don't.
It's true. This increases the reason why you'll never run out of games to play in the future.
It's true. Yep. And why every year will be an even better year on the Switch, because there's just an increasing backlog. It is funny though, because there are some games that fall off of my wish list backlog kind of thing just because enough time has passed that I'm like, I just don't really care anymore. It still seems like the kind of thing that I would have wanted to play when it came out, but now that it's not at all in the meta or conversation or whatever, the zeitgeist, then I don't care quite enough anymore. And I'm like, all right.
Streaming, I think, remedied that for me a little bit this year. Because there was just Luigi's Mansion, where it was I had no reason to want to ever play it ever again. I liked the time that I had with it, for the most part, but the stream gave me a reason to go back and mostly finish it. I'm at the very end of the video game. I think I'm going to try to do that a little bit more next year. But that depends on what comes out and if there's more stuff that I specifically want to play, because the thing about the games that I stream is I don't really do or I don't force myself to play anything. So even if it's a big new Nintendo game, though I considered stuff not Fire Emblem, stuff which I am going to play on stream. I don't know if I'm gonna finish it on stream, but I'm gonna at least try it and we'll see if it's fun to stream. But I considered doing Xenoblade and stuff like that. I just in the same way that I don't like making videos about games that I know I don't like. And I know people, even if I think people hate them, I try to steer away from making purely negative videos, because I just don't think it doesn't add anything. It just feels gross to sit down for hours and write thousands of words about why I don't like a thing. Streaming is similar. I don't want to just sit there and fester in how mad I am about the game that I don't like, exactly. So I'm going to try to play more games on stream, but who knows if they're all new.
I think, the thing that if I had more time, I feel especially streaming would be a fun way to do this, but a thing that I've thought would be fun to do for a while, or since we started Redirect and a project that I was that'd be fun, is I like the indie worlds just in general. I think it's a fun repository of here's a kind of a somewhat limited number of indie games that have been talked about or whatever, and I like the idea of trying to like maybe not play and rank all of those games, but at some point I had the idea of like ranking the first hour of every game that's come out in an indie world, or an indie direct or something like that, just because I don't know, I think that's fun. But I it's fun. It feels like indie worlds and stuff like that have a little space in my brain that I don't know that they do for just about anybody else. So like,
I don't know. I feel like that can be a useful thing for people, because like that, like for me, right? Like there's definitely indie games that I like played and enjoyed a lot, and sometimes even like Celeste was like on the precipice of being game of the year for me. Like, but that doesn't happen unless for whatever reason I'm driven to play it, which is like, I feel like if I wasn't a creator, and indies didn't like hit me up about their games, that wouldn't happen at all, honestly. Because like like with Devolver Digital, right, like they built up this reputation for me because for a long time they've been sending me games and I'm like, oh, I'll check it out, and then I check it out, I'm like, this is dope. And then it came to a certain point, I'd say like the second or third game that they sent, I was actively looking forward to the next thing that they put out. I don't know if I was just playing games for like fun and only for fun and that's it, if I would be checking for that. It would very likely just be like a even more exaggerated version of how I play games now, where it's like, I feel like playing Smash, I'm gonna play Smash, and if anything else I just so happen to feel like playing, I'll play that. But I'm not really the type of person, naturally anyway, I do it because again I want to be informed, that goes out of my way to play stuff. So indie games are like even harder for that because they're harder to market, I think. So to have like somebody like you go through and be like, oh, this game's good or bad because X, Y, and Z, I think could help people a lot. Time willing, obviously.
Well, that's fun. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it some on the Patreon podcast, but like various things where like, I think the whole thing of like just games that are coming out and like, here's just like all the games that like, feels very silly, but that's something that I just think is fun. Like, honestly, when I was doing the eShop window thing back at that time, again, format didn't work. Talking about every single game was stupid because there's just so many garbage games. But like, I still like the feeling of like knowing like, here's just all the games coming out and, finding the diamonds in the rough kind of a thing. And,
right.
And all that. So it's just a question of like, what's the usability of that passion or whatever, and probably shorts in some regard.
And I mean, for what it's worth,
it's just fun.
You could do that and stream it. It does. I don't think. I don't know, because I can't speak for you in this way, but I don't know if like a big reason why you don't stream is because you think that you have to like dedicate your all to streaming in that moment. But like you could literally just be hanging out with Ashley and like that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
but yeah, it could still like be the same sort of stuff of like when you're just playing games, hanging out. Could also just be that, but that's obviously like up to you and her, if that's like a dynamic that you even want to have on stream. But it does exist. I don't think people like if it's like the viewers that you're worried about, or it's like, I don't want it to be like this lax thing, and like I'm not like, I don't think viewers would mind if it's just like the super chill, like you just playing a video game.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, it makes sense. And with that, that's the end of that topic. But now let's move into, we've just got a little bit of other news. And so here we are, other news.
Yep. Other news.
Basically the only thing that I pulled for this was Ash is gone. that happened this week.
Oh no!
I mean, he didn't leave this week, but he's leaving soon.
Yep. I don't know if you. How did you? I don't know. I don't know how much you listened to the end part of the thing where I mentioned this briefly, where it's like the whole dynamic of Pokemon fans. It played out in real time, where I think a lot of people talk about this prospectively, this might happen. Pokemon fans are so used to this one thing always being the case that if you change it, people get mad. We've seen it to a certain degree with stuff like overall Pokemon and blah blah blah. But this happened with this, where for so long, and I've seen it in spades. I don't know if you've seen it as much as me, but so long people have been like, I'm tired of Ash, switch him out with somebody else. He's not good. Give us a better trainer. I want new stories, blah blah blah. But the second that they talk about doing it, people are upset. Yo, make up your mind. Seriously, really please.
I haven't been paying attention enough to see either side. I mean, it's kind of like the whole Spider-Man thing where, at the end of No Way Home, you were like, yeah, blah, blah. Yeah. The whole discourse around it. And I had no clue of either side of that. I was just like, all right, that's the way a movie ended. But yeah, I feel like I've seen people on both sides of this in general. So it hasn't tended towards one side or the other particularly, but yeah, I also wonder, I was realizing, I wonder if they've been kind of working up to this and by doing all those shorts and stuff, the little side stories that are not Pokemon stuff. Cause that feels like a pretty recent thing that they've done, right?
I mean, yes and no. They toyed with this in different ways throughout Pokemon's history. I feel like it's more condensed now. The attempts at this are closer and closer together each time, because I think the first time that they did something like this, it would be Pokemon Chronicles, which was this anthology series of just random stuff that would happen. Some stuff would be in the same not universe, because it's all in the same universe, but the same continuity as Ash and Co. And then other things would be the first episode, the first 3 episodes I think was Pokemon Johto Gold and Silver canon, and then sometime after that I think that the next big example of this would be Pokemon Origins. And then a little bit after that was Pokemon Generations. And then they started doing more and more of those shorts, the Zoro thing, and so they've definitely been doing them more, but they've toyed with it in the past. But yeah, maybe that's it's all part of the same thing, where it's okay, we tried it before, it didn't really do what we thought it was going to do necessarily, or maybe it was just purely a test that they didn't mean to act on in any particular way. And then they tried it again and oh, maybe there's something here, and then they tried it sooner again, and then they're all right, wait, look, we gotta let's do this, because it does seem like the more that they did stuff like that, the closer they made it to Ash being phased out, because for a long time they had a Dragon Ball sort of mentality, the whole Master Roshi in Dragon Ball. He entered the tournament to make sure that Goku doesn't win, so Goku knows that there's always somebody stronger than him and that he should strive to be always be better. That's the kind of vibe that it feels like they give to the Pokemon have given the Pokemon anime, where Ash couldn't win, because if Ash won, then what else is there for Ash to do? And now that every time Ash got closer and closer to winning, as we have more and more of these anthology series and what ifs and stuff like that, maybe that's why, where it's okay, now Ash got second. Okay, Ash won a Pokemon League, but with an asterisk of it being a new Pokemon League and blah blah blah. Okay, now he's objectively he beat all the top trainers in the world and blah blah blah. He's the best trainer now. So yeah, makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious at what point in their journey they decided that kind of, obviously, towards the beginning, it made sense for them to do that. But I wonder at what point they decided just how long it was going to take. And I guess, probably they never really had to decide that until, each season that happened, as there's a league and he's like, they could just decide like, but does he win this time? No. And then just like, don't do that. But, yeah, it is interesting just like that it really did take 25 years for him to win. But yeah, like where do you go from there? So I think this is definitely the right way to go. And also will be interesting, not having like less than the Ash thing. I think the Pikachu bit is going to be the more like, not that I remember somebody, I don't remember who it was all of a sudden, on Twitter was saying like, when was the last time that Mickey Mouse was like the mascot in stuff for Disney, but still like, that's the Disney mascot. So similarly, same thing here, but like Pikachu doesn't have to be in it to still be a just huge mascot of it. Right. But it will be a little weird. So
I'm kind of like surprised that it took them this long. And maybe like part of it is because this is a thing that exists and it's popular. But like Yu-Gi-Oh has been doing this for its entire existence, where it goes to the next phase of the thing and they introduce new mechanics and they also introduce a whole new kid and like time frame of the universe and stuff like that. And there's like weird multiverse stuff with that now, I think. But the point still stands that like every time there's a new like season, as it were, there's a new protagonist to come with that. And I think that it's even more of a natural thing for Pokemon to be able to do, because they literally go from region to region to region. So it's like it can be this thing of like, okay, here's this new region and here's this new set of kids. They're becoming a Pokemon trainer and we're going to live their journey for the next 2 to 3 years, right? I don't know if they're going to do that, if they're going to go that far off the deep end, or we're going to have these two protagonists for the next 25 years. But we'll see.
Yeah, and also, like, I wonder, how can you do... Well, I guess they've already kind of been doing it. Like, Ash seems to always start back from zero a little bit. Yeah. Even though, he...
I'll never forget Ash and Pikachu losing to Trip Snivy in Gen 5. I'm like, how? You're like a freaking level 100 Pikachu, at least a level 80 Pikachu, and you just lost to a level 5 Snivy that just jumped off the porch. That's crazy. Yep. Granted, it's closer to like a Squirtle beating freaking Ganondorf in Smash Brothers in terms of like the flexibility and battling, but still that's kind of crazy. You have more battle experience. Like even if we remove the math from it, this Pikachu is at least the Orange Island champ, like come on, dude. How you losing to a Snivy?
It's true. So like like they've been kind of, resetting him and stuff like that. But I wonder how many different ways you can do, origin story, trainer journey kind of thing. And probably like a couple at least, like to where they could have several seasons or several, new sets of kids or whatever that just like go about starting differently in some way, shape or form or whatever, and it might be a little bit repetitive eventually, but still that like it's just nice to get to have a fresh new start with a full-on different character that can just go about stuff in an entirely different way. Kind of honestly like Go was in Journeys, where it's one of them is trying to be the best trainer and the other one's trying to just catch every single Pokemon.
And to their credit, they toy with that a little bit, like with the his like female, like what is the term for that? The
doppelganger?
no, it's like second to the protagonist. It's a writing term. I can't think of it. But the female trainer that accompanies him, they're like May and Dawn. They're Pokemon coordinators. They didn't care about getting gym badges, but they wanted to be the best coordinators. And like Brock and Misty, like they had even that. Yeah, exactly.
Brock. Yeah, exactly.
Usually there's like supporting characters that have secondary air. No, it's like it starts with a D. It's I can't think of the word. I'll probably think of it after the fact and be tight. But yeah, no, it's just a protagonist that's like secondary to the main character. I'm going to look it up.
I'm already starting to try.
Yes.
Deuteragonist. A deuteragonist.
Yes.
That's
what I was
heard
thinking.
that word in my entire life.
I went to school for media, so I heard it. but yeah.
Interesting. That feels just like a fancy fake.
All of it's fancy fake words.
I mean, art.
but yes.
It's true.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the other news. It's just like new Pokemon stuff. So I'm excited about it. Should be fun. But now let's talk about games we're playing. And I'm going to kick it off because I got a review code for a game. So this week there's the Indie World House of Holiday Indie things. If you follow us on TikTok or watch our YouTube shorts, I've been talking about what's going on, recapping it a little bit. And I'll do one more of those tomorrow to recap the last 2 days. And we're hoping for some cool stuff.
Sports story.
So
if you don't do a bit, whether we get it or not, for Sports Story, L Trilogy.
Yep. So true. So yeah. So in any case, one of the games that came out on Tuesday was from Shinen, and they are the same folks that made Fast RMX, Art of Balance, and The Tourist. And I'd gotten a review code for them for The Tourist a while back in 2019, and that game was great. Lots of fun. So I reached out to get a code for the Punchuin, and I've been playing it a little bit. I'm going to make a short that's a review of that as well. I thought I was going to do that today. Didn't do it today. We'll see exactly when I do that. Hopefully tomorrow. And but yeah, I've been playing it, and I'm having quite a fun time with it. Nice. It's a puzzle game that's in some way it's kind of like if as Celeste is to, I mean, this might be overshooting it a little bit, but like as Celeste is to like Mario 1 or something like that, is this to like Wario's Woods kind of a thing, where like it's not a puzzle platformer in that like a lot of games of puzzle platforms are like platformers that have some puzzling in them. This one is a match 3 puzzler, but you're a little penguin that's platforming around the like area where the blocks are falling down, and you have to like kind of punch them into place or whatever. But if you punch it forward, it goes forward 4 blocks. So you have to take into consideration like what things are going to block it. And if you're standing against it and there's something behind it and you punch it, it'll go back, like come into the space where you were just standing. And then there's just like some other mechanics. It's one of those like, easy to learn, kind of hard to master sorts of things. Yeah. So the gameplay's pretty fun in terms of just like the puzzle game and stuff. And but honestly, like the thing that's selling me the most is just the window dressings also are really nice. Like the level select is like right out of Super Mario World. Like even the like as you're walking is like the same sound more or less. And the way that you like unlock other levels is a pretty classic, like, get enough coins to do this. But there's many games that use some of the same mechanics. Like I'm always a big fan of when you have a mechanic in a game and you're like, oh, but we could have done this other thing with it. Just, do the other thing as like a little side mini game. And it seems like they've done that kind of thing. And there's upgrades in the game too, like where you can buy a double jump or like a fire punch to break through ice blocks straight away or that kind of thing. And then what was the last thing I was going to say? Just that the music is great. And especially the music when you beat a level, I think that's going to be like the opening bit of the short or TikTok or whatever is something with that, because it's just like very rewarding. And just a really short little jingle that gives me good warm feelings. So yeah, I don't think it's a particularly long game. It's $15, and I think it said I'm 26% of the way through it. So yeah, but it also has a versus mode. So like if you have somebody else that would like to play it, I don't think it's online. I haven't checked, but maybe, I don't know. But if you have somebody else locally that likes to play it, then you can play with them. Well, not with them, it's against them. And
we're just still with them,
each other.
I guess.
It's true. You're correct. So yeah, that's the Punchuin. Yeah, I'm having a fun time with it. So
nice.
If you like puzzle kinds of games, check it out. If you kind of like puzzle games, maybe wait for a sale and then check it out. But it's neat.
Sounds good.
What else are you playing?
I think I'm just playing Pokemon still. I mean, I played Smash Brothers increasingly. I'm easing in, because 2023 I'm back. But I played Smash Brothers a little bit. It's freaking Mars, every once in a while he'll hit me up and play Smash Brothers eyeball emoji or Smash Brothers like flaming logo gif. And I'm like, sure, why not? I'll play. And I was doing that. What's this? I don't know if this was like since the last podcast, but at one point in time, I was like over here. People were over here for a party because there's a lot of people that have December birthdays. And we were drinking. And I was playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and playing it with people there. And people were telling me that I got to take more shots because I'm too good at the video game. And that made me better at the video game because I like usually the thing is like when I'm playing the game, regardless of if I'm playing against somebody that is like as good as me or like significantly worse or whatever, I still have the thing in the back of my head where it's like, if I do this, I might die. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the thing that puts like that makes it the least likely scenario that I am going to end up dead and you will end up dead. But with a couple shots, I didn't give a crap. I was like, nah. I was playing Sephiroth for what it's worth. I don't know how familiar you are with his moveset, but I was like just ending people at like 20%. I saw people double jump off a platform and I was like, bet you're dead. You're dead at 20. Like it was just like a lot of stuff like that. Like I was styling on people hard. It was really fun. But yeah, that was awesome. That was that.
Nice.
It's like it's always this thing because Smash Brothers is like it's a game that is easy to learn, difficult to master. So everybody thinks that they are the best person that has ever played the video game. They're like the best in their friend group. Nobody can beat them. So like I encounter those people a lot where it's like they'll come to me and be like, yo, I'm the best player ever. Like you'll never beat me. Like you talk about that MKLeo guy, I'm way better than him. He just hasn't fought me yet. And then I fight them and I'm like, yeah, bet. And then I'll fight them and like it'll be this bell curve of like, okay, bet, let's fight. And then they fight the first time. I'm like, oh, okay, you got me that time, but wait until I actually try next game. And then they lose harder. And then they keep playing and it's like, let's say 10, 15 games. And then like 15 games in, they're like, I give up. I don't want to play anymore. You took all the fun away. And I'm like, yo, man, like, I don't get that dynamic because you came in here talking crap, not me. I'm just playing the video game. But somehow they always walk away dejected. Like I took their fun away, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
We got playing Smash Brothers, and I'm washed. I'm not even as good. But I'll be back, man. I'll be back.
That sounds real fun. I don't know what things I have like that, if anything, where like. I mean, definitely not to that level where like, I could just beat most people or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Even like music stuff, like there's so many people.
I think it's also like a personality thing because it could be you could have that, but you just wouldn't think about it to be able to acknowledge it. And
also like I just don't know that I like. Want to have the time to / just determined enough is probably a lot of what it is to like to focus on anything enough to do, and like, I think I also I don't care quite enough about getting like better.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
that's fun.
I think part of it is also like there has to be, at least for me, like if there wasn't some level of like natural, like just like intuitive like talent there. If I didn't start playing Smash Brothers and I was like, and I had to actively work to not be bad, I don't know if I would play Smash Brothers as much as I do. But I've never been the worst person. I've been like in the friend group, so I always had like some level of like, okay, I feel like there's something to work with here, and I have a lot of fun with the game. So like even like practicing doesn't feel like working towards anything for me, because usually I'm playing with people that I like and I would be talking to and hanging out with anyway. So it's like kill two birds with one stone sort of thing.
Yep. Nice.
But yeah,
so Smash and then Pokemon.
Yes.
I'll just chime in real quick. I've played a little bit more Pokemon, but not a whole lot more.
Oh,
so there's that.
Did you get any badges?
So I've got at this point 4 badges, I want to say. So I've got first 3. So Starfall Street, Brassius, and Clough, whatever. And then I beat What's Her Face, the Electric Gym. And I think I'm working on.
So you went from, which I think you beat the second gym leader, and then I think she's the 3rd or 4th. One of those two.
So who's the first gym leader?
The first gym leader is Bug.
Brassius?
No, it's Bug. It's Bug, and then it's Grass.
Who's the Bug guy? I have not even run into him.
Who's the Bug girl? She's like a Girl Scout sort of. She got Girl Scout vibes.
Oh no! I'm gonna demolish her when the time comes.
She's an adult, but like,
okay, yeah,
she just gives me like Scout leader vibes.
Yeah.
She has like a bakery or something.
Scarlet Bug gym leader. I'm looking her up. Just to, I haven't run into her at all.
Yep.
Where, I don't know where I missed that. Whatever, doesn't matter. I just went a different direction.
Yep. Open world.
Yeah. I guess I figured too, because that was the one that a lot of people seemed to.
That was like the one that they demoed.
Doing the exactly. Yeah. I just assumed that was the first one, I guess. But it was also just the first one I rolled onto, so I was like, all right, here we go. So yeah, that's funny. But so that, and then I'm closing in on the Steel Titan, which I don't know exactly what it is, but I have a guess or two of 1 or 2 Pokemon that it might be. So we'll see.
I don't know what the order is for the Titans, to be entirely honest with you.
Oh yeah, it feels about right. Well, I guess I haven't gotten to it yet, but just in terms of like Pokemon levels that are around me and stuff like that. I think one big comparison between this and Arceus / Breath of the Wild is, I think, just the world design of this one, where at least in the areas where I'm at so far, it doesn't have quite the same amount of like, there's that thing in the distance that I want to go and see. And I'm going to make my way towards that and then get distracted by other things or whatever. Like, I'm kind of always just like pushing forward just for the sake of it stuff. But there's like just a tinge that's missing of that, of like, the, looking off in the distance and be like, ooh, that's fun. And honestly, I think in Legends Arceus, that was probably more often than not resources rather than Pokemon. And because the Pokemon sometimes wouldn't load in until you're closer or something. I don't think that was always the case, but maybe it's also just the areas that I'm in are kind of mountainous, so there's some of that. So I don't know. Curious if that feeling will change, and I'll report on that. But
for me, it was there a lot more. Just because like it was always Pokemon for me, even in Arceus. I was like, oh, that thing. And more so now, and especially since like I've found like shinies, so like that's like, shiny over there,
I did find my first Pokemon inside of walls. I threw my Pokemon out to just like be walking around with me, and then a battle started and I was like, what's going on? And then it was just like me against a Salandit hanging out out and cool. So it wasn't shiny though. I threw my Pokeball a couple more times to be like, is there another one? Is it shiny? But none shinies.
Never ran into a shiny in the wall.
Okay.
But
For some
yeah.
reason, I thought that was a thing. But
I mean, probably because Pokemon can spawn. No, I think you're remembering when I was doing an outbreak and it was the Pokemon were spawning in the wall. It could have probably been a shiny eventually, but I just dipped out. I just was like, I'm not going to partake in this outbreak.
I think I also saw somewhere, and I could be wrong about this, that store, just like game wise, they store shinies inside walls or something like that. Not to say that that's like ones that are accessible like these ones are kind of, but like, yeah, I could also be totally misremembering that. But yeah, I do remember.
I think if anything, they probably just store Pokemon in general.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Like
below the ground, something.
Yeah, exactly. And then they appear like that. And shinies are part of the Pokemon in general distinction, you know? But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's like also just like a which I think is also the case for Breath of the Wild. I think in open world games you have to like you have to care. The game the game design is very much so like determined by how much you care to engage with the world, which is why I think that like it didn't work at all for Bob and Arceus because he doesn't care about Pokemon that much. And like even like that's why he didn't get as sucked into Breath of the Wild because he doesn't care about Zelda that much. So it's like I think open world games are very much so they are what you make of them. And if you don't actively care about catching like X Pokemon for whatever reason, it's going to be harder to be like, oh, that thing over there.
And I think also for this one specifically, the difference of how limited versus expansive the Pokedex is, I think is actually a little bit hindering that because there's so many different new Pokemon. Yeah, it's just like daunting, not just in a like, you know, I do or don't know this Pokemon kind of way, but like, do I have even enough Pokeballs to like catch all of these new, like,
you should.
Do I just ignore some of these?
No.
I mean, yeah, you know, I literally can't.
I literally caught everything that I saw, and I wasn't like, I wasn't even specifically like in a grindy kind of way. It never felt like a grind to me. Catching every Pokemon that I saw that I never saw before, I caught. I like without trying, like. I want to say like 360 Pokemon registered to my Pokedex caught before I realized that I was like, oh no, I want to complete the Pokedex now. Like I was at the very end.
For the most part, were you using quick balls and stuff like that?
Not until towards the end.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because I think, and that's the other big difference is that like I don't love. Like having done the like sneaking up and throwing the Pokeball and stuff like that, I really like having that option in retrospect.
I mean, that's still kind of there,
like,
though. Because you can do the
you can still sneak up on them.
You can sneak up on them, and when you throw, your catch rate goes up if you sneak up on them. So it's effectively the back strike in the same way, and they can't move. Like so, if you run into a Pokemon and you surprise them, the first turn you can throw a Pokeball, you can attack whatever, and they can't do anything that turn. Obviously, it's like mechanically not as fluid, but like in terms of like what the mechanic is, in practice, it's the same thing. Yeah, mechanically. I mean, not mechanic, but system wise, it does the same thing.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, I think good game. It's just it has more roadblocks between what I am doing and what I want to be doing than I wish were there so far. But I talked about earlier how Age of Calamity, there were things that seemed like annoyances, and then kind of just
ignore them.
You know, ignored them. So maybe once I've gotten more time with this, that'll be the case for this too. I don't know. So, because it's definitely like, I like truly, much as it doesn't sound like it sometimes, like I love Pokemon. Like Pokemon is great, just as a whole. And so it's just the like technicalities sometimes of things that just kind of get on my nerves. And to me, Legends Arceus fixed some of those things in ways that I just thought were more actively fun. And so going back to a slower battle system and stuff like that is, just a shame.
Like I said, I'm the first person to say I hate the battle system in the video game.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
like I just think that like for me, like as I finished the game, I think that the overall experience is just grander. There's more stuff to do. And how you can approach playing the game in the first place just feels better. Whereas like in Arceus felt free because it just lets you do a lot of the same thing for a long time. Where it's like, I can progress the story, but I'd rather not. I'm just going to catch all the Pokemon in this area and do nothing but that. And that exists in this game for sure. But you can more naturally do things that contribute to beating the video game in the meantime, versus just being like, I'm going to shiny hunt. I'm going to stop my momentum and shine it, which again you can choose to do, but you can like explore the world and clear objectives in different areas, because there's more than one storyline, and it's not just like beat the nobles or whatever. It's beat this challenge, or beat the Team Star members, or do the Titans, or whatever other traditional Pokemon thing that you can do. You can explore the world, and while you explore the world, it lets you check off the boxes in a similar way to Breath of the Wild, where it's like the way I beat Breath of the Wild was I just wandered and saw how I can fight things, and like what it would let me do. And then along the way, the game was like, hey, there's story stuff you can do if you want. And I was like, sure, I'll do that. And Pokemon was very similar, where I'm just wandering. And it's like, oh, I'm near this gym leader. Might as well go do that, I guess. And then I will go do that, and then blah, blah, blah. But I'm not doing any of that anymore.
What's
beat the game eons ago. It's been decades. I am trying to get a Master Ball rank in singles because I already did it in doubles. Singles is even more toxic than doubles. We talked about this on the Patreon podcast a little bit. I'm not going to regale the tale of that. If you want to hear it, you got to freaking go to the Patreon. But suffice to say, I'm right there. I'm freaking Ultra Ball rank. I'll probably do it by next week. Because I want the rewards, and that's
what are the rewards?
I have no idea, but I want them.
Nice. And I assume there's nothing beyond Master Ball rank.
Nope. I mean, you can so once you get a Master Ball rank, it becomes like an ELO type of thing where they just tell you your ranking, like what number you are in the leaderboard. So before Master Ball rank, it's like Pokeball rank, the freaking rank 1, and then there's Pokeball rank 2, and then there's Pokeball rank 3 or whatever, and then you go to Great Ball, and there's 2 ranks in that, and then you go to Ultra Ball, and there's 1 rank in that, and then you go to Master Ball, and then it's like number freaking 10,000 out of 10,000, and then you can like keep winning until you're number 1 or whatever, if that's what you want to do. I don't care about that. I just wanted the rank because I want the rewards.
Is there a limited number of people in the rank? Like, is it like if you stop doing it and somebody else gets in there, it'll bump you out? Okay, gotcha.
No.
It's like Elite Smash kind of thing.
Yes, but no, because you can get knocked out of Elite Smash. You gotta be bad. And this, like, once you're in a rank, you can't drop down below it, to my knowledge.
Nice.
So like once you hit Great Ball rank, you can only drop down to another Great Ball rank from wherever you're at. So Great Ball 1 or 2 or whatever. And then once you go to Ultra Ball rank, you can only be in Ultra Ball rank or level up to Master Ball rank. It's the same thing for all those things, to my knowledge. Nice. I don't know. Maybe you could lose a certain amount and you drop out. Hasn't happened to me yet, but I have lost with no like points on the bar for like Ultra Ball rank, and I didn't drop out. So I assume that you cannot drop out. Once you reach a rank, you stay there, which in fairness, I wish is what they did for Elite Smash. I don't think that it really does anything for anybody to like be kicked out of it. You know what I mean?
I just looked it up too, just to confirm. Once you reach Master Ball tier, you change to a rank system. You will but you will, however, be reset to beginner tier at the end of the season?
I think that happens anyway. Like every season you rank up again because like that's how they get you to play. It's like leveling up a season pass.
Yeah,
it's like, all right, new season. Now, if you went through awards, get up to Master Ball again.
Like 3 months, a quarter?
No, I have no idea. I think it's way less than
100
that.
years?
I have no idea. Absolutely none.
So 200 years.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I'm there. I at least have Master Ball rank and doubles. And that's the one that matters at the end of the day, because singles is cringe. I think I would like singles more if it wasn't 3v3. But it's 3v3, so I don't like it as much.
Yeah. You'd prefer it if it was 100 v 100.
True.
Just like throw the whole
just every Pokemon that
decks.
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, nice. Yeah, good stuff. Well, those are the games that we're playing. But now we're gonna play our favorite game, Q&A. And so here it is. Yeah. All right, some questions. Let asked, as for my question, what's your favorite holiday treat? For me, it's got to be ginger snaps. I look forward to making them every December.
I think I think I talked about this before. It's the freaking but they're peanut butter ones specifically, like the Hershey Kiss cookies. The like cookies around the Hershey Kiss.
Yeah.
But the peanut butter ones, man, they're great.
Where like ones. The cookies peanut butter or the Hershey Kisses peanut butter?
The cookies are peanut butter. And then bonus points if the Hershey Kiss is like a different, like an almond Hershey Kiss. Yeah, man. W.
That is very nice. Yeah. The like difference in texture too.
Yep.
Like I've talked about this too, I'm sure, because I remember your response to it, but that also ginger snaps, but that like, so we just bought some
it's
ginger
like your
snaps
mom's ginger snaps specifically,
but it's like they're like soft, so I don't ginger snaps.
Yes.
But they don't snap. They're like made with like some molasses or something in there, but like they're a lot more kind of doughy or whatever, and they're very, very good.
Also wait, I have them here. I do have them here. I got friggin' holiday treats from Alec.
Nice. We just got some holiday treats at the grocery store earlier this evening.
He made Portuguese sweetbread and these like cookies. And
good job, Alec.
After comparing notes with youth who also got holiday treats from Alec, I got hot chocolate because Alec cares about me as a friend, and he knows that I enjoy hot chocolate. And youth got tea because he cares about youth as a friend and knows that she enjoys tea.
Look at that. What a friend.
But yeah, that's that. Those are pretty good.
Yep. Otherwise I feel like that's probably my favorite holiday treats. Yeah. I like apple cider and stuff too, but that's not really a treat. That's just a drink.
I like first thought was eggnog, but I didn't say that because it's not treat.
Yeah, same.
Drink.
But eggnog's great.
Granted, I like eggnog, but I don't go out of my, like, I know there's people that like go out of their way to get eggnog. I don't do that at all. If it's there, it's there.
Yeah, like I bought one, or maybe Ashley bought it in the end. No, I think I got it. An eggnog, and I think I finished it. Maybe there's a little bit left, but I probably only buy like 2, maybe 3 throughout the whole kind of Christmas season or whatever. So like, it's not one to stay on tap and like, have some, it's just like, it keep it feeling kind of special and sort of rare or whatever, because otherwise, like, I don't know, it kind of feels gross too to have too much eggnog. Like, this is weird. But I'll probably have to get like, I don't usually put alcohol in it, but I don't know, sometimes.
I don't think I've ever had it with alcohol. I'm pretty sure I never had it with alcohol ever.
Like one of the only good uses of, only if you're of age, obviously, everybody. Yeah. But Fireball, if you're,
I thought it was just like Bailey's or whatever people put in
Bailey's also, that also works. But
GK Dope Esquire said never had eggnog ever.
It's hard to describe. It sounds so gross. Like it sounds disgusting.
It feels
just because it has the word egg in
vibe, but like not as thick.
Yeah. And like flavor wise, I don't really know how to describe it, but I mean, you know, kind of in the like vanilla-y, nutmeg-y,
yep.
cream sort of direction.
It's pretty good.
Honestly, yeah, worth trying. If just the words don't gross you out, then like if you like AJ said, milkshakes and stuff, like it's kind of in that direction. If one of my friends, his equivalent is boiled custard, which also kind of sounds kind of gross.
Even more cursed.
True, but I mean, it's just like ice cream but melted. So like, it's good. You know, it just tastes like it's like vanilla cream stuff. You know, but maybe like a little bit tart because it's technically custard, but it's good. So there's that. Okay, and speaking of GK Dope, okay, now for a question. What is your favorite non-trading card game? Non-trading card game. What is the most cursed non-trading card game, and why is it Uno? Okay, I see what you're asking now.
Yep. I don't know. I go through like phases. Skippo is fun. I like that game. I like freaking it's like a regular ass card game, but I can't think of it. I can't think of the regular ass card game that I'm thinking of.
It might be this one. Is it Rummy something?
Yes,
Rummy 500.
That's fun. I like that.
Yes. Okay. So yeah. Also, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. Similarly, I wouldn't have like one that tops the list. But at various points in time, I had a friend that we played Rummy 500 a lot, and then also some friends that we'd play. Now it sounds even more cursed, but Trumps or something like that, where it's kind of like Hearts or something. But
Hearts, what the hell is that? Like Spades?
That one's the one. I mean, it's like Spades. I honestly I just meant to say Spades. But it's like kind of a war type situation where like higher card wins, but you want to try to save
Spades.
That kind of a thing. It's a little more stripped down, and I can't remember what's special about it. I think at the end of every whoever wins a certain round,
Hearts
gets
is
to
basically
pick
Spades.
what
Makes sense.
the in this one they get to pick what the trump suit is the next round. And okay, I remember all the rules. I'm going to say them because here we go. First round, everybody gets 7 cards, and then you do the whole you play a card, somebody else plays a card, and then whoever played the highest card within
win that round
set, they win those cards, and then whoever wins the most cards at the end, the next turn everybody gets 6 cards, and whoever won the last one gets to pick based on their cards what the trump suit is for that next one. So they have like a bit of an advantage, but also maybe somebody else has even better cards in that suit. So it's it's a pretty fun little time. But yeah, so that one is pretty fun, and probably some other ones, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. So
I mean, I see the thing is like I go through like these periods of like where I'm like I'll play that. Like Spades, right? There was a time in my life where I knew very well how to play Spades, but at some point I stopped playing it, so I forgot how to play it. And people are terrible. Like people do not like explaining how to play Spades. So it's like if you don't know how to play Spades, you're just not going to play it. I'm just like, fine, I don't gotta play. I'll freaking go play Smash Brothers. So
it's so dependent on who you're with and like what games they want to play too. Because like I don't feel like explaining the rules to and like when am I in a situation too when I just like on youth group trips or whatever, card games all the time, because there was so much time where you're just sitting around doing nothing and have some cards, and so like that kind of thing happened all the time. Now in life, that's just like there is never a situation where I'm with other adults and people or whatever and just have time and have cards and can do something about that.
GK Dope said, yes, you can't play Spades unless you know how to play Spades. I've never met a person happy to explain Spades. Yeah, but it's weird because somebody does it. Like, obviously, like you learn how to play some way. Like, I'm sure that I was taught how to play it at some point and just stopped playing because I stopped caring. And then I just forgot. And then it just like, I don't care to like figure it out again. So
yeah, this one goes out to the like one or two people listening that also maybe perhaps know about
times and forgot.
Who know about the game Mao. So this was another like great like youth group game or like choir trip kind of game or whatever. It's a card game, and when you start it, you say the game's called Mao. It plays like Uno. Begin or whatever, I don't know, whatever. And the whole shtick of it is that you don't tell what the rules are. Like if you know the rules, then you know the rules, and if you don't, then you only figure them out by getting penalty cards when you break rules and being told very vaguely what thing you did wrong, and like speaking out of turn. Like you're not allowed to speak the whole game, so you get a penalty card for that or whatever. So it's a silly thing, but it's like a fun little like, you know, rite of passage sort of game or whatever, but also very much requires the right people and circumstances and stuff. So like, I don't know if that's ever going to happen again.
It makes
but
sense.
We'll see.
As far as the worst card game, it's freaking Go Fish, man. It's boring.
Yeah.
It's the candy land of card games.
I mean, War, I feel like occupies a really similar space where it's just like, what's the point? You know, it's a great game for like little kids because you can't really do anything about it. It's just like, the cards land where they will, truly. But at this point,
I ain't trying to play that.
Suck, you know,
learn a better game, children.
Yep. And to the Uno point, GK Dope, I feel like, Uno's not that fun with the exception of house rules. I feel like can make it more fun, but I feel like at this point they've got to be like particularly fun house rules. So
I like playing Uno. Uno to me feels like Monopoly, whereas like there's a lot of people that I know that don't like it, but like I mean, depending on who you play it with is really fun. Like I have a lot of fun playing Monopoly. I don't have as much fun playing Uno, but it is fun, you know, depending on who you play
with. And also
with.
I feel like it's not which house rules you use, I think, but it kind of to the point of, you know, of like which people you play it with. It's like how versatile or how flexible are they with like what rules will be fun in the situation, because like sometimes, you know, like it's more fun to do the like plus like 2 plus 2 plus 2 kind of stuff. Like that's just way more fun. Like it's super unfair and it sucks for somebody, but at least it sucks for everybody, you know, at some point.
But so it's also fun sometimes to like play the regular rules, because then you get to screw somebody over, and then it's like you hold grudges and stuff where it's like, oh, you freaking made me draw
it's the Mario Party
exactly. It's like, oh, it's up for you and just you now. I got reverses in my hand. I'm not gonna win, but I'm gonna make sure you don't win also, which is related to the Patreon podcast.
That's so true. Good question for sure. All right, one from Mark. He asked, "It's about to be stupid cold. How do you stay warm when it's stupid cold?"
There's snow.
It might be snowing. Hang on, I'm gonna check right now. Is it snowing?
There was snow outside when I woke up, and I went outside to get my package from Alec. It was last snow. But freaking my brother
maybe snowing
is extreme, so it is very hot in this house at all times. It is either very hot or very cold at all times, which like in the winter it's very hot, and the summer very cold. It's like Narnia, but
freshman year college. I had roommates in college that in the winter kept the heat set to 80 degrees, which is so hot to like be, at least for like air to be blasting at 80 degrees too is like, that's 100 degrees. So I literally like, I mean, my room didn't have the temperature gauge or whatever in it, so it's not like it affected the whole thing because the door was closed anyway. I literally like slept like snowstorm going on outside, window open, I mean blinds closed, or like blinds a little bit open or whatever, while it was like 80 degrees blasting into the room, and then just like frigid air coming in, and then that, you know, kind of worked. Like I didn't have a ceiling fan or anything, so that was the best way to regulate that. But man, I was like, a couple of times I tried changing it from the 80 degrees and it did not stick.
See, the lucky thing is I can control the temperature in my rooms individually. Nice. So I can, like, when I'm in my office, I can freaking just close the vents and stuff, and it's fine, and I'm good. But like when I'm downstairs or whatever, it's like mad hot and or cold, and then my I'll be like downstairs with my brother, and he's like, just assume whatever temperature it is, he's like, yo, you hot? And I'm like, no. I am freezing. And he's like, it's hot.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, as far as to the question though, how do you stay warm when it's super cold? I don't know.
Layers.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Probably like so many layers, you know, like 100 layers. I still remember in science class learning, like my teacher was like, yeah, 4 t-shirts will keep you warmer than 1 sweater because layers, blah, 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 air and all that. And I was like, you are so dumb, teacher. Because like, no, it does not.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if that the math is math in there. It depends on the sweater, I think.
It depends on the sweater, but also, I mean, depends on the, you know, sleeve.
Yeah, yep.
Portion of that. But you know, I mean, I'll buy it as far as it does depend on the sweater for sure. So, but air, you know, insulating and
true. Yeah, fair enough.
Alec asked, writing from 8+ inches of snow, what's your favorite snow day activity, both indoor and outdoor?
What, like currently, I don't know, man. I don't. Snow is a hindrance to me now. But when I was a kid, snowboarding was lit, dude. Love snowboarding, really fun. Sleighing, close second. Freaking indoor, I don't know, playing video games. I guess.
I mean, yeah, honestly, indoor is just like a normal day. It's just with the hassle of like, if we have to get out, it's gonna suck. But besides that, like, yeah, it's just kind of normal, especially because working from home, like, there were a couple of times back in older jobs where it was like, oh, it's snowing a lot, I probably can't get into the office, and that's nice.
And now
do not have that excuse. I mean, maybe the internet would go out or something, but then that's lame for
that
would
suck. Yeah, that would be terrible.
So that, indoor like, snow day.
That's what for me, like, pretty much since I graduated, because like I've in some way, I mean, my first job, like job was when I did the sales thing, and I stopped doing that, and then immediately after that I went to Full Sail, and then I was like, not even after Full Sail, during Full Sail was YouTube. So it was like I just always worked from home pretty much. So like once I was out of school, snow days became a hindrance. When I'm in school, it's lit because both like I am younger, so things like snowball fights and like freaking snowball, like making snowmen and stuff like that is way more fun. But now I don't actively want to do any of that unless I'm like with my nieces or something.
That is, I was going to say, snow is probably about to be more fun because Ezra, and so that'll be nice. Last year she was not a fan of the couple times that it snowed, but I think she just does not like being bundled up at all. And so we put her in some big snowsuit and she was like, and like did not have fun. But she likes being bundled up a bit more now, because she's just real cuddly, and it feels like, I think she feels like it's like a big hug, and that's really cute. But also we'll just probably bundle her a little less or something, and then she'll love it, and it'll be snow and fun. But there's been times driving in the snow that have just not gone well, and like Tennessee does not know how to drive in the snow at all. So yeah, I literally, I had to go pick up my parents from the airport one time, and it was, you know, icy roads, snowing a bunch and stuff. And I decided that probably instead of, I decided to get to the interstate because something or other, like in my mind, it was like, oh, that'll probably, less traffic or something like that. So probably better. Instead, no, it just means that it's like less managed as far as a road, like iced or anything like that. So, I mean, salted.
Yeah.
So that was a bad idea. And right towards the end of this road, before getting on the interstate, there was a big like hill down or incline down, and then a dip down, and then a big hill up. And I was behind a car for a while that was not doing a good job of all the things, and just like braking and stuff. Which, whatever, fine. But then they were braking down this hill and got to the bottom of the hill and were at a dead stop, and then started to try to drive up the hill. And obviously had no momentum or anything. And so just like, and just, so I literally got out of the car and just started pushing it with them, and to just like get up the hill. And that was so frustrating because I saw it coming from a mile away. I was like, no, this is gonna happen. So yeah, those kinds of situations happen around here because just nobody knows. So,
yeah, global warming, man.
Snow. What a time it is. But yeah, otherwise, outdoor activity, if I could go snowboarding sometime, I would be very happy with that.
It's fun.
It is.
Except for that one time I almost broke my leg.
Ooh, yeah, that's not so
I
fun.
thought I told you about that when I had a snowboard and the like left binding on it broke, but I was like, I don't care, I'm doing it anyway. And like I hit this rock, and that like knocked the board from under me and like flipped it, so like it hurt, but I was fine.
Yeah,
except for the initial pain, but it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine after that.
Oh man, what a time. Well, with that, speaking of snow day stuff, it might be something a little bad out here. I think might go make some hot chocolate and maybe edit a little bit of a video and then call it a night.
Do all the things, like, comment, subscribe, friggin' ring the bell for not this channel. Just come here every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. But ring the bell for youtube.com/watch redirect. There's going to be a video at some point, and there's shorts and whatnot, and you can watch those. Check out our Patreon, like I said, like 80 times this episode. Goodbye.
See you.